I like the coffee. Yeah.
More than the Wimpy coffee.
So the Wimpy, the water's too hot. They're burning it. This coffee is absolutely perfect. The water's a good temperature. The foam is silky smooth. There's a chocolatey taste to it. Some nuts in the background. Nice.
This is a science, clearly.
Coffee. Oh, yeah. No, coffee's a science. No, coffee is science. Trust me. One day I'll take you to my place. I'll show you the science of coffee.
Okay.
How you get? Do you want big bubbles or small bubbles in your milk? I like small bubbles like this, hence flat white. How much you grind the beans? How much you tap them down? Temperature of the water, pressure.
Do you have one of those little twisty thingies?
The twisty parts.
Yeah.
The Mantengu, but yes.
Okay.
Well, mine's plastic. It should be metal. Metal would be better.
Okay.
No, but mine's plastic.
Very easy to gift for Simon now. Just get him coffee things. Anything related to coffee.
Coffee beans, importantly. Don't get me ground coffees because you've got to grind your coffee like grind it, do it. No grindy, put in a bag, send to a supermarket. No. Grind, use.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're learning.
The coffee's good.
The coffee's good. Okay. Let's kick things off. Let's get the show on the road.
Unfiltered. 98, our current is collapsing.
Privilege of welcoming one of our good friends into studio.
So not even Buffett listens to Buffett. Sue me, China, if you must.
1 or 22 on AC, but you're not getting that at home.
Ken, there's quite a bit to discuss.
The stock is cheap.
The last podcast I did.
Oh, introduce me.
I'm Jimmy Moyaha.
And I'm Simon Brown.
Welcome to Insider Exchange.
Into useful updates. We have been informed in no uncertain terms by our ghost producer that there are rules to useful updates that we need to share with you, and the rules have been amended. As such, we have been given 8 minutes to get through a minimum of 8 stories between Sai and I. Failure to do so will result in us being required to complete a series of challenges that are determined by you, our insider community. Now, I don't know if this puts us on I don't know if this puts you on our side, if this puts us against each other. I don't really know how the logistics of this work. All Sai and I know is that we have 8 minutes. We have 8 minutes. We have 8 stories to get through. And if we don't, we're in serious trouble. So, that being said, Sai, before we get into useful updates, the clock is ticking already. No. This is not fair. The ghost producer is not fair. Okay, straight into the updates, Sai.
Spar.
Yes.
CEO quit Friday, wrote a letter, said, my bad, it turns out I'm no good at this. And then their trading update came out this morning, and we know why he's no good at it, because, to quote them very quickly, muted growth of 0.9%, while selling price inflation was 2.6%. They don't tell us like for like. They went backwards.
They went backwards. That's terrible. Budget speech happening this week. That is forward-looking. Taking place on Wednesday. You and I will be in 2 different cities covering the budget speech. This is going to be probably the first time we're hopeful for a boring speech, I want to say. I don't think we want to do what we did last year. Nobody wants 3 speeches. All we want is an increase in tax-free savings accounts, an increase in medical and other tax bracket rebates so that bracket creep doesn't kick in, and a reduction in government spending. Seems like a good summary.
Sure. I mean, hey, you and Fairy Poppins. I'm getting my names mixed up. You get the point.
Mary Poppins. Got to be hopeful.
Mary
yes,
Poppins
fairy godmother.
And the fairy lady.
Fairy Poppins
okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, okay. I mean, sure. Yes. Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know if we'll get it.
Well, we're going to get some extra money from PGM and gold miners. That will certainly help.
The government's going to get extra money.
And SARS has been clocking along that they're getting extra money as well. They're going to get an extra 10, 15, 20 billion as well. But moving on to Cell C. So this is like the ghost that won't stop haunting or something like that. So Blue Label, Cell C is costing another 5 billion. That's the bad news. The good news is now it's all gone, right? I mean, this is it. Now there is no more. Now it is on their own little shareholders' problem. It is no longer Blue Label's problem. And that's why they got rid of Cell C in such a hurry.
This is after the 3 billion rand write-down at time of listing of Cell C from what they wanted.
Cell C has cost Blue Label probably more than Blue Label was worth when Blue Label bought Cell C. Blue Label was a great little business, bought a telco. Top tip, kids, don't buy telcos.
Don't buy telcos. Also, apparently, don't buy media companies. Canal Plus announcing that they will be pulling certain licensing rights from SuperSport in terms of what it is that SuperSport will be able to then showcase to South Africans. Someone should tell Canal Plus that the only reason that people keep Multi-choice
But
subscriptions.
what are they pulling? Like the Winter Olympics. Like people were very upset they couldn't watch curling.
Yeah, but it's less about that, Si, and more about the fact that that's where it starts. The moment you start curtailing licensing rights, and then you go into the next question then becomes, where does it end? Where does it stop? Suddenly, SuperSport is not going to broadcast certain leagues from a football perspective. They're only going to broadcast the EPL, or suddenly we're not going to get Formula One. Can you imagine that?
I watch Formula One on the app
Yeah,
anyway.
you don't have those problems. But this is the thing. From a multi-choice perspective, the last thing that people wanted was the sport. Now you're taking that
No,
away
it
from
is.
them.
I mean, they have sport and not much else. And if
That's
they lose
it.
the sport, then
Where do we go from there? It's chaos.
Yeah, I mean, they've been bleeding customers for nature. It's going to bleed more. Okay. I've been waiting for SuperSport to come in its own bundle, but then it's just going to cost 1,200 Rand instead of 1,000 Rand for all the other
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah, okay. Okay. Sorry for SuperSport peeps. I don't pay money for that. Another Tongaat. Over.
No, we thought so. We thought so.
But like this is like
Heading for liquidation, and then the minister says we can't have it liquidated. So now the DTIC is potentially looking to get involved in that. Question is, why weren't you involved the entire time?
But if it gets, yeah, okay. I mean, yeah. So where's the DTIC been for the last, however, very, very long? Because the short answer is like in this. I mean, how many times have we heard this is it, and then someone? Okay, so not ended.
Heading towards liquidation, but the government won't allow it to be liquidated. But they're also not stepping in to say how they're going to intervene.
This is like Arsenal Metal.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
mustn't
we
go.
might save you, we might not, we don't know. Although
Probably.
ArcelorMittal is slightly different because the IDC is willing to put down 8 billion Rand to buy out 7 billion Rands worth of debt. Not the update that we're getting into.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Tongaat. The other thing is that if it goes bust, it's not like everything disappears, right? These farms are still there. People are going to come and buy them on cents on the dollar. I mean, this is what the whole thing with bust and business rescues and bankruptcies is.
Oh, we are running out of time. Okay, Virgin Active. Interesting, right? What do Black Coffee, Christo Visa, and Sir Richard Branson have in common? Dr. Christo Visa, sorry, apologies for that. It's called the Virgin Country Collection Club in Greenpoint, 5,500 square meters, 100 million Rands in a revamp. Ooh, padel courts, Olympic-sized pools where Springboks and Olympic swimmers are swimming against each other.
The Olympic-sized pool, although there's the pool right there on the beach. And it's like it's cheap at Greenpoint, the public pool.
Well, you're going to be in Cape Town this week. You can check it out for us and you can let us know.
Okay, where's Greenpoint? Sea Point.
Yes, close enough. Close enough. They're right next to each
I'm
other.
there. I'm at the V&A,
Yeah,
so that's
right
fine.
next to each other,
Okay.
right there. Yeah. Interesting, Virgin Active. 100 million Rand club
That's a
revamp.
lot of
That's a
machines.
lot of money. Lots of money.
Okay, and I might bump into Christo Visa. Actually, he's on my budget thing on
Oh,
Wednesday.
there you go. Say
I'll
hi
ask
to him. I haven't seen him in a while.
Never met.
Lovely
I
gentleman.
don't hang with billionaires. Well, actually, billionaires don't hang with me. Quick. What next?
Capitec. Market cap of Capitec. Exceeding all other banks. Market cap officially topping out above every... I didn't think we'd get to this day.
No, I did not. I did not, but here we are, and I do not, Capitec. The thing's a beast. I mean, it just is a beast.
Can't stop it. There's nothing you can do to stop that business at the moment.
Yes, that I agree. I was going to say who's next, but I don't know. So
Every time I speak to the CEO of Capitec, I ask, when are we unbundling? Because 4,000, 5,000 Rand a share is very expensive. And they're like, we're not bothered. Yeah.
No, they're just not. They're not. Well, I mean,
Well, not unbundling, sorry, share splits.
split. Yeah. So instead of 5,000 Rand a share, it's 500 Rand a share. No, I mean, I remember that question being posed to them and they were 500 Rand a share and they said no. So Mantengu's got a new CEO, Mr. Megan Naidu, who's been buying shares like there's no tomorrow. Like every day he's buying shares. He bought 7,600 Rand on the 19th. He bought, buying little bits of shares, 6,150 on the 18th, 2,100 on the 18th. Yeah.
So for me, that's not even the most interesting part about that story, right? So the outgoing CEO who's resigned, Mike.
Resigned at the end
Mike
of
Miller,
a pointy stick,
right?
perhaps.
So that was a weird one because that got very ugly in the public domain. If those that didn't keep up with that, there was a public spat around share price manipulation involving one Zunaid Moti and allegations going back and forth. There's videos everywhere. It's all crazy. But the long and short of it is the CEO now has stepped away from that business.
To
We don't
spend
know where
time
that
with his young family.
we don't know where that leaves Mantengu Mining from that perspective. Thankfully, they've got continuity, and I suppose that's what you can hope for.
I suppose they've got continuity. What they've got essentially is they've got the deputy CEO, but to your
Who was
point,
also the CFO.
who's also the CFO,
Son, we have 13 seconds.
and has been buying shares left, right, and centre.
Yes! And on that note, that is the last of Useful Updates. Sai and I have made it. We will not be doing any challenges this week, and we have survived.
That was still got time.
We move on to our deep dive. We are diving into the latest updates around Trump tariffs. We have a Supreme Court ruling from the United States. We also have a response from the Oval Office. Wonders what that's going to be.
Yeah.
That's ruling from a court's perspective. I mean, a vote 6-3, that was almost a clear sign of, you overstepped.
It was a slapdown. It absolutely was. I mean, the point was he was using an emergency provision which had never been used before, it was dodgy. I mean, the whole thing was definitely dodgy. And the court said, no, you can't do that. And then, I mean, I don't know if you saw the press conference from him, like dark and rude. And he's basically saying,
He looks like a Bond villain.
I can destroy any country, including this one, and I'm allowed to. Well, I suppose he is, right? He is doing it. No one's stopping him. But it was a biggie. I just don't know that it makes... I mean, so he's now put 15% in, which poor Indonesia, Tuesday...
Wait, didn't he do 10?
Yes.
He did 10%. He went back and said 10% on under the existing tariff structures.
So there's another law that he's using.
Yes.
That he can do up to 15% for 150 days. The fun fact is, this whole thing is moot, because who can definitely do tariffs? Congress. Who currently controls both houses of Congress and the White House? Republicans. Anyway, that aside. So he put 10%. Then he came back a little while later. He must have misread and realized he could do 15%. So now he's put 15% on everybody for 150 days.
Yes.
And now there's another section of the law that he thinks he can use as well. This 150 days can be extended again if he goes to Congress. So this takes us all through to July. I mean, we're basically in the same...
We're going for midterms by then, aren't we?
No, well,
Surely midterms are this year?
Yeah, but in November.
Sometime. November this year. Okay, November this year.
First Tuesday of November they vote. But anyway, so it's deeply messy. For us, it's quite good as a country because
I was like, we get a 50% discount on our tariff. This is a win.
Exactly. Indonesia just signed a deal on Tuesday at 19%. They're like, yeah.
Yeah, because this is... So
if
here's
you
the thing.
signed a deal, then the deal's legit, right?
Then the deal's in place. No, but can we go back and renegotiate? Did we sign a deal?
No.
We haven't signed a deal, so we just waited it out.
So we got exceptions on some of our stone fruit and our cars or minerals and stuff. Then we got Algoa, but this was over and above Algoa. Anyway, now we're at 15%.
Which is better than 30%.
Oh, yeah.
Which we're comfortable with. I mean, I think we can make 15% work.
I mean, comfortable is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that. But sure, I mean, if we got to have a percentage, 15
it's better than 30.
So this lasts 150 days. Now, there's a third part of the legislation that he thinks he can use. The short answer is that Congress purposely took the power of the purse, or not the Congress, the Constitution took the power of the purse away from the president in case Trump was coming. They wrote that thing 250 years ago, and someone said, dude, what happens if there's a orange bag of shit one day running your country? And they're like, don't worry, sorted.
Sorted.
Except not, but I mean...
So this is the weird thing now is, where does that put everything? Because for the entire first 12 months of his presidential term and the first 2 months of this year. So since he's come into office, it's been a one-way conversation around tariffs, around this is how we're going to make money back and this and that. And I mean, I saw some US, I think it was a US governor, who said that Trump now owes the people $8 billion. They wrote him a formal letter and everything.
Yes. This is working on the theory that every household has been prejudiced by $1,700, and they've worked out how many households they have in their state, so they want their money back. But also, if you're Walmart, and Walmart's, so what's happened with the corporates, and weirdly, these were trading at 30 or 40 cents on the dollar. So Walmart and others, Costco's got one as well. Basically, they said, we've paid 10 billion in tariffs, or whatever the number is, let's say it's $1 billion, and they floated those as notes that if they ever get tariff money back, you'll get paid out. So Walmart and folks have been selling their tariff exposure. So there are now investors out there who are like, cool, time to pay the oaks who bought this note on Walmart or Costco tariffs. They want their cut of it. And so now that they've got to pay back the 175 or 35 billion or whatever it was, messy. I mean, the Supreme Court said this is going to be a mess. They were like, yes.
You know who I don't want to be right now? Auditors in the United States. And that's not just because they don't use IFRS like the rest of the world, and they choose to use GARP principles, but alongside that, you have to now do accounting on this.
They do adjusted GARP because GARP isn't silly enough as it is.
That's it. So now you have to do accounting on tariffs. I don't want to be an auditor this year in the United States.
No, they are definitely going to be having a little bit of problems. Yes. That is deeply true. That is deeply true.
What does this mean for markets, though? Because off the back of...
Markets were very much a case of, we just don't believe any of this.
This is it.
And because when it came on Friday night, so we were closed by the time this came through. The US was open. So I boogie off and I'm like expecting things to be happening.
Markets to shoot up. Yeah, absolutely.
The Dow went, the US markets went from like 0.1 red to 0.1 green. The Rand picked up a few cents. It did quite nicely this morning. I mean, it was just all of that. There was really, frankly, nothing. The market was, you know what? Actually, this is just more about chaos.
It is. I'm trying to look at the Rand at the moment. 15.95, 15.96. Great. We're easily back below the 16 Rand level. We're back below from 16.17 last week. I think 16.20 at some stage. So this is fantastic for the South African Rand. Not so great for the US dollar, but that's not really our concern at this point as South Africans. Nothing against our community in America, but you guys already have the dollars. You're not too worried about getting South African Rands, we imagine, right? So we have to deal with the Rand situation. The rest of global markets seem unfazed as well. Markets are just like, well, until we kind of understand what this means from an implication perspective. I mean, the gold price back above 5,100, it hasn't really been able to move beyond that $5,000 level because of kind of the uncertainty in markets considering whether to sell off. I think this has reignited a little bit of that risk-off conversation around the fact that President Trump is now potentially going to go back to being unpredictable. And I mean, you saw it immediately coming out and relying on existing legislation and say, okay, fine, I'm not going to break the rules. I'll use whatever is currently in place, and suddenly expecting that the markets will be happy with that. I don't think that's going to be the case.
The markets are still like, we just don't get it. I mean, it's also, so the tariffs haven't raised as much as Trump promised. Remember when everyone was going to get a $5,000 check and they were going to be able to do away with income tax?
Didn't we also promise a $2,000 tariff rebate to every American or something of the sort?
Exactly, and no income tax because we've got all this tariff money. So it hasn't brought in as much as hoped. I mean, it used to bring in about 150, 200. It added about 150 to it. That's not nothing, but it the whole
doesn't deal with a $34 trillion deficit.
Correct, Armando. So it hasn't done a heck of a lot. It's made America. I mean, everyone's just going and doing deals on the side without them because like America, and just further says the problem is that, I mean, one of the things that came out of the mining in Indaba is that there's no exploration happening across the continent. And the reason for that is quite simple, because from discovery to, getting
to licensing,
to production, to getting stuff out the ground is 10 or 15 years, and you need certainty. This man changed his mind 3 times on Friday night. Of course, the really fun thing was watching the maggots flip-flop behind him.
Some maggots are like, he's still the greatest president. Others are like, maybe we should get rid of this guy.
Well, he zigs left, they zig left, he zigs right. They're like, yo, wrong way. Turns out I'm...
But you know what? I still think this is a good thing overall, right? Because we went through our own kind of times like this, we went through dark times as a country a couple of years ago, where we had to deal with load shedding and a bunch of other things. And, we were kind of coming out of that and coming into a space where if we get things right, and really it's not going to take a lot to get things right from a South African perspective, we can fundamentally realign where the country sits on a global scale. But more importantly, as South Africans, and we know this, right? We've been told this even by our own government, that we are resilient as South Africans, as the most resilient nation on earth. It's nice to be able to sit back sometimes and watch another country go through these things.
No, it totally says. It's like...
you sit there and you're like, hey, guys, so this is what it's like from the outside.
Yeah, I mean, like, it takes us 3 times to get a budget, but you know what? We get a budget.
That's it. And we move forward and we make decisions and we hold to them. Again, please, can we have a good budget this week? That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, we'll get a fine budget. I mean, we won't like it, but it'll happen and all will be fine. And that's what matters, but yes.
The tariff situation, it's not going to get any better. It's not going to suddenly fix itself. If anything, it might even get more complicated, which then brings about the question around what do we then expect to happen for the rest of the year?
In tariffs?
Other than the World Cup, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, chaos. So, I mean, I think markets are happy. They're going higher. There's no reason why they won't.
Well, except for Bitcoin.
So Bitcoin's an interesting one. Let's get to that. I mean, the point is that we're carrying on, right? Nothing's particularly changed. It's not as bad as it was. It's not as bad. It's not going to be as good as it was last year. We're not going to get plus 40%, but we are green and the world is not falling apart. And what was driving us last year is still there. Gold above 5,000. We've seen the dividends and stuff coming from AngloGold Ashanti, Goldfields. I thought DRD was a little bit skimpy, Pan as well, but then it was made an interim dividend for them. So I do think there's basically carrying on. The difference now is that last year it was the precious metal miners that lifted us. Is there more in PGMs? Yeah, not so sure. What also then happens is there something in the SA Inc. space? Do we start getting our retailers and stuff coming to the party? I think that's going to take a little bit of time.
That's true. That's true. I think there's a lot that is still out there, but from the perspective of, and to your point, Si, around the fact that markets are carrying on, the only way I think of to kind of describe it, and this is something South Africans know very well, that we're teaching the rest of the world and the rest of our Insider X community that isn't South African, is the perfect way to describe the market situation at the moment.
Yeah.
Critical, but stable.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? There's all I mean, I interviewed someone this morning from Old Mutual who was talking about the weird thing with last year was that the surprises were to the upside. Rand stronger, gold up, PGMs up, off the grey list. I mean,
all at the same in the last quarter, in the last 6 months of the year.
And all going up instead of surprises to the downside. Now, to be clear, there's always risks, and his view is, well, that's probably still where we sit. The surprises are probably to the upside. We'll see what comes and how it flows, but the short answer is, and I suppose the point is that we are fragile, and let's not pretend we are not a fragile economy, but and that precious metals are doing a lot of heavy lifting in our economy, but we're doing kind of okay. And then the question is, but you'd still want to be an American economy? I mean, probably. I mean, largest economy in the world. Who wouldn't want to be? Although, I don't know.
I don't know. Historically, it's very easy to say that. It's very easy to sit back and say, well, because we're the largest economy in the world, therefore everything must happen. But there's a point that you made earlier, Si, that still, I think, holds true to where we find ourselves, in that people are making other deals elsewhere. Other deals with other countries, with other economies, with other blocks, and those other deals are not being set up as temporary solutions. It's not as though we're going to an EU and saying, let's only have this in place for as long as the tariffs are in place. It's let's fundamentally restructure and have these deals in place as a permanent alternative, which is a very different conversation.
And it is me speaking as the old way of thinking, which was, you wanted to be American, right? I mean, when I was a kid in the 80s, you wanted to live in America. I mean, that was it.
They sold the American dream, right?
Yeah. And when I was dodging the army and stuff, the plan was, take my mother's wedding ring and go to California.
Okay.
I wasn't going anywhere else. It was going to be California and be the et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that dream.
Would you still make that move now?
No. Well, look, I mean, fun fact, they won't let me in. I assume because they're going to troll my social media network.
Well-
And, I don't think Orange Bag or shit qualifies for being nice to him.
For those out there, we're referring to Orange Mussolini. Different conversation for a different day. But if given the opportunity, and perhaps we'll put this out to our community as well, if given the opportunity, World Cup aside, all these other conversations aside, right now, whether you're in South Africa, whether you're outside of South Africa, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in our insider community, would you move to America if given the opportunity? And perhaps that should be a deep dive, because there are a couple of things about the American economy and the American infrastructure that I particularly like. Weird things, and we'll get into that in a separate dive, that make for the case of moving there. But in the current situation, in the current climate, I don't know if I would do it. I don't know if I would move there. Especially given how globalized the world is.
I'd move to Durban.
You'd always move to Durban, Si.
Come on, you're going there this week, dude. So I'm assuming you're going to go and have yourself a banicha at Garamundo's or somewhere, a mutton, and then you're going to go for a swim with the sharks. I mean...
Do you want to switch? And you're going to Cape Town, I'm going to
Where
Durban.
the curry comes with fruit, which is illegal. I've checked. I've spoken to Gordon Lewis Hill, man, thing. It's illegal. And the ocean, even the sharks don't swim in it.
But what is in the Cape Town Ocean, and that's coming up next in our Make It Make Sense, is an oil rig. That's the deep dive. We're going to leave it on that note. We're going to get into Make It Make Sense and try and make sense of some things that really don't make any sense. And we're wrapping things up with our Make It Make Sense. We try our very best to make sense of things, and more often than not, we fail miserably. But thankfully, there's no penalty for failing in this respect. So we're going to make sense of a couple of things here. We're starting off with the oil rig that has popped up off the coast of Cape Town.
Surely there to pick up putt course and get the windows cleaned.
My only question around it is, we're going for oil exploration, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that is backed by the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, because you don't set up an oil rig like that without their approval. They have to give you the rights to then go and explore before giving you the rights to drill and all of those sorts of things.
I agreed.
And the DMRE has come out to speak out on this and potentially finding oil reserves and what we could potentially be doing with those oil reserves in the near future. Right? What happened to just energy transition?
Oh.
That's my question.
I thought we moved on, right?
No, we're still doing that. We're still getting financing from other countries,
We are.
and primarily from European countries, the likes of Germany, Belgium, for our just energy transition efforts, to the extent that our own companies as well are benefiting from that as well, right? So we are still the poster child for the just energy transition, and there's nothing, look, again, to be clear, there's nothing wrong with drilling for oil if we've got the oil. I mean, countries do it all the time.
Except where are we drilling? Because we're not drillers. I mean, what oil are we drilling?
Well, there was oil that was recently discovered off the in Namibia, so this would be probably on the same.
So I'm thinking
the same bank
this is
potentially.
heading to okay, so it's not coming to drill for us.
Well, we don't know yet, right? So it is in our jurisdiction in terms of land rights and all of those things, oceanic rights, I suppose. So it would be South African in that respect, but surely, if we're going to decide on, I guess we haven't decided on what we're doing with the oil anyway.
No, we haven't.
But we are a coal country. Why don't we just keep mining our own coal?
Yeah, so oil would be nice because oil is our biggest import. Eh?
Yeah,
so if
we're a net importer of more than 70% of our oil.
If we can become, I can't find this thing on Vessel Finder because I don't know what to call it. If we can become independent, the fundamental game changer for America with their fracking. I mean, if we can stop having to import oil Huge, absolutely huge. But
I don't. You know
T's and
what?
C's.
I think a huge part of that is not necessarily the importation of the oil, but it's the refining process. Remember, our imports only increased when we closed down our refineries. When we stopped refining onshore, it meant we had to import
But we were
refined oil.
We were still importing a bunch.
Yes. But we were importing, refining here, and then utilizing here. And so we only imported the raw material, which here would be the same thing, right? We'd still need a refining process.
Gotcha. We're bringing in raw.
Yeah, so we'd still need a refining process there, but I'm trying to reconcile where this fits into our energy mix, because we've spoken nuclear, we've spoken coal, we've spoken everything, now we're speaking oil, and somehow the bulk of these things aren't aligned with the just energy transition, but we're also trying to keep Eskom from increasing tariffs exorbitantly, which they're doing anyway.
Yeah, what you're saying is it's a mess.
It's like tariffs. It's like US tariffs. Moving on.
Okay, moving on.
The next thing we're trying to make sense of, Si. Oh, this one's a goodie. We're back in America. It is not directly Trump related, but I want to go out on a limb and call it Trump adjacent. And you'll see why. So there are documents, this is according to Al Jazeera, which is a reliable news source we've seen over the last couple of years. There are files that were released as part of the great Epstein files that suggest that one Jeffrey Epstein may have been offered opportunities to purchase key US properties, key US real estate, the likes of FBI buildings and even the US Pentagon. Right? A solitary individual, a private individual, mind you, at the time, being offered almost 85,000 square meter complex that is located 1.6 kilometers away from the Pentagon. So basically in the jurisdiction of the Pentagon.
Like neighbors.
And you know how I want to say wound up America is about their security and all of those protocols and this and that. Would you have a private citizen who has been clearly shown to be not of American birth then own a piece of land that close to the Pentagon?
I mean, you wouldn't want, it didn't matter if they were...
It didn't matter who it is, but I mean,
if it
in
was
general.
the president of America, you would think the answer to that is no.
Yeah. And amongst all of these leaks and emails and things, part of it is there was an FBI informant who also wrote a memo that suggested that, of course, that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent working for Israel, right? So this has come out, but even in that, there's a proposed purchase that this individual would pay $116 million for that property, amongst other properties that are on offer. Now, we clearly don't know whether these property deals went ahead or not. That's not really the point. The fact that they were offered to a private citizen, first of all, how then do you know whether they're going to be able to finance all of the properties?
Yeah.
Why are you offering them for what strategic purpose would this individual be looking at these properties? I highly doubt it's to open up a Pizza Hut or a Papa John's, because there's already a Papa John's near the Pentagon.
I mean, it might be to open a Papa John's, but no. But what these 3 million pages are showing us is actually it is. It's the corruption at the top is quite astounding, and that's aside from the rape of young girls, which is another whole level. But it's like
that's a different story. Yeah.
It's like, yo, guys, it's just like and like they put all this in emails.
Yes. So.
Like, hang on a second.
Someone asked me, why would you use a Gmail account if you're going to do all these things? And I was like, well, quite honestly, because it's easy to deny. It's easy to just say that's an unofficial email address. It was, but
except for the part that it's not.
That's it, right? And that's the thing, except for the fact that when you're looking at the confirmations and the conversations that are coming out and they tie up with other pieces of evidence, that we're not going to go down an Epstein rabbit hole. That's far too much. We love that people online are doing that for us. But it's interesting that state assets are now being brought into the question, or brought into these conversations. And it looks as though they've been brought in for many, many years. It looks as though this is not a new development.
Oi.
Can't make sense of it.
No.
Trying.
No.
Can't make sense of it.
No.
We're going to stay in the US for our final Make It Make Sense. And we're going to take a look at cartels.
Cartels.
Cartels. Before we go to the US, let's take a quick detour. There was 2.5 metric tons. 2.5 metric tons, for context, folks, is 2,500 kilograms. 2,500 kilos.
Yeah.
2,500 kilograms of narcotics is what we're going to call them, because it was a blend of a couple of things. 1,000 of that, so a little over 1 metric ton of that, was from Germany.
Germany, I didn't see that.
Wait, it gets better. This isn't, we haven't even arrived in America yet, right? So this sets us up for our America conversation. It'll all make sense in a moment. Another 1,500, 1,400 odd kilos was shipped via India and South Sudan. And that was tramadol, and the 1,000 kilos from Germany was cocaine. Together, those shipments found themselves to a international airport in Cameroon on the African continent. $90 million worth of narcotics seized by the Cameroonian government. I bring that up because I can now potentially understand why the cartels in Mexico are upset about whatever's happening on that side. Maybe they're losing money.
But you can see the thing, right? You're Cameroon. You've just confiscated $90 million of drugs, and now you've got to destroy it. I mean,
destroy becomes very loosely used in that context.
Well, no, it does not. You need to burn it.
That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. But when you have, again, this comes back to the conversation we had in our previous episode around the illicit markets, right? We couldn't make sense of the 100 billion rand cigarette and alcohol illicit market here. And this just paints a picture of how broad that market is internationally, and how 100 billion rand might not seem like that much when compared to the global stage.
Yeah.
The question it brings up...
But this is $100 million, but carry on.
The question it brings up is around those illegal sectors, or those illegal markets, right? Look at what's happening in Mexico at the moment with the cartel.
Yeah. So they killed the head of the cartel or something, and now the cartel peeps are like shooting up the airport. I don't know which airport, and I imagine Mexico has lots of them, but...
What about the World Cup? Isn't Mexico one of the host countries for the World Cup? I know that's been what's been put forward on social media. A lot of the questions have been around that. But aside from that, what about the people's lives? What about the people that are...
Shouldn't the whole World Cup just at this point be given to Canada?
They're the only ones of the three countries that haven't got tariffs or wars.
Or anything, or ICE, or anything. I think it should just
Well, to be fair, there was that former Canadian Olympian who was arrested for being a drug kingpin post his Olympic life. So I don't know if we completely exclude...
I did not know about that.
Was an interesting conversation as well.
We're free that month, aren't we?
To host the World Cup or to handle the drug
No. We don't want the drugs. The World Cup part. We've done it before.
Yeah, we've done it before. We know what we're doing. We've got the stadiums. We're happy to avail ourselves.
Yeah.
FIFA
We can dust off from vuvuzelas.
Of course we can.
Can you blow that thing?
Yes.
Sure.
Had to learn in the World Cup.
Okay, we get the World Cup back. You can teach me.
There we go.
Learned.
Oh, it's quite fun. It's quite fun. Perhaps that's what we'll make sense of, right? Perhaps we will have the CAF president reach out to the FIFA president to suggest that the World Cup be relocated to South Africa, whilst we keep our thoughts and prayers for those in Mexico dealing with the cartel situations, and those in Cameroon obviously dealing with the cartel situations there. I suppose that means all cartel situations around the world. That being said, that would be a very interesting dive. I don't know if we would be permitted to have such a dive. I don't know what kind of sanctions that would attract. I mean, we do an unfiltered show, but I'd be interested to know how that ecosystem functions in today's world with all of the things happening. Do cartels, or are cartels, subject to Donald Trump's tariffs?
No, because they don't come through an official port of entry. Now, if you legalize cartels, take them in through the official port of entry, ka-ching.
Yeah, but that's like legalizing the taxi industry in South Africa and trying to tax them. Good luck. That's going to be where we leave our unfiltered. That's where we're going to leave our Make It Make Sense because, well, I don't really know if we've made sense of anything else. We're going to wrap up the show on that very note. Before we go, we're going to leave you with an unfiltered opinion. This week's unfiltered opinion of the week is traffic is manufactured. Traffic, particularly in South Africa, is entirely avoidable. I've narrowed down the causes of traffic, depending on where you are. If you find yourself on the highway and there is sudden traffic that is not accident related, it is likely because someone is driving slowly in the right lane or someone is on their phone. Seldom is it any other reason.
And if we had drones patrolling the freeway,
you could monitor that.
Well, I was actually thinking of like zip, but
if you think about traffic in the context of inner city traffic, right? A lot of that, other than the congestion and the robots and all of that, where there's unexplained traffic, is again someone driving at an unnatural pace to everyone else, or taxis stopping in the middle of nowhere. Which, again, that is a conversation we've been trying to address as South Africans forever. But the point of this, around traffic being something completely avoidable, if you think about the highway context, right? If every car is driving and all you have to do while driving on the highway is do your part, the car in front of you assumes they're doing their part. The car behind you assumes they're doing their part. We actually end up with less stoppages.
Yes.
You end up with less people braking, less people driving differently and all of that. Yeah, it doesn't obviously account for reckless drivers and all of those other elements, but there are elements of traffic in the South African context that can be avoided. Just don't have people on their phones.
Yeah, no, agreed. Although, I mean, weirdly, so my way back from studio, I hit traffic every morning. It's about 7:10 past, and it's gotten worse, so I have to duck down a little alleyway. Cut off a taxi driver today, and he accused me of driving like a taxi driver. That was his insult.
I have questions, but I don't yet know what my questions are. Do you acknowledge that your driving is bad? Are you the taxi driver who's trying to change other taxi drivers?
I just carried on going.
So many different questions.
Yeah. Yes, agreed.
That's the unfiltered opinion of the week, folks. Would love to have you weigh in on that. Do you think traffic in South Africa could be dealt with differently? Do you think perhaps we should be rolling out what other countries have? On that note, there are countries where there's certain times where certain drivers need to be driving. So in certain countries, it's based on your number plate and you drive on particular days of the week and all of that. In South Africa, I believe you should then have it based on how long people have had their licenses, right? So learner drivers perhaps should not be driving during peak hour traffic because that doesn't alleviate the problem.
Sundays between 1:30 and 1:45.
Learner drivers can only drive on Sundays. That's the unfiltered opinion of the week. That's the show. Remember, folks, investing isn't hard. Just try it.